Yeah, they don't Lotus Petal at all. Instead, they play Pact of Negations in the deck. You see Vanmeter is up 1-0 right now. Reanimator is the faster combo deck here, by and large, which is in Chris's favor.
Yeah, and the access to Iona is just a real backbreaker against a mono-blue combo deck.
Yeah, so in game 2, Tom was on the play. He played a turn 1 preordain. Chris responds with the Thought Season. We'll see what Tom has kept. It is Slaughter Pact, Cunning Wish, Preordain, Brainstorm, Second Land, and City of Traders. So lots of cantrips, 1 removal spell, some fast mana, no combo pieces.
Yeah, Slaughter Pact is generally speaking a wish target for some disruptive hate bears or just random creatures in play that are annoying, you know, the meddling mages of the world. Tom probably brought it in here because he needs to answer Iona specifically, and once Iona is in play naming blue, Cunning Wish for Slaughter Pact no longer works, and so some of the Slaughter Pacts need to come into the deck.
Yeah, in the sideboard he has 2 Slaughter Pacts. It's likely he left 1 in the board, 1 in the main. Remember, this board utilizes a wish board, so a lot of the card one-ofs are there intentionally to get found. Thoughts he's going to go ahead though and take, it looks like Brainstorm, and Vanmeter will pass back. We see first combo piece has been found for Tom. That is a Omniscience. So now he's going to need to find still a Show and Tell and an Enter the Infinite, or a, you know, 2 combo out here. Or he could find a Show and Tell and a Cunning Wish. Sorry, he has the Cunning Wish, so just a Show and Tell will be enough.
Right. But it's unclear if those are even left in his deck against something like Reanimator. Now, the Omnitel deck can win in 1 turn.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages. Yeah, it can Show and Tell and immediately win.
Right.
Now, granted, if your opponent Show and Tells like Gristlebrand into play, he's probably going to disrupt you.
Right. Iona as well is another.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of the things that Reanimator can put into play off of Show and Tell do stop the same turn win from Omnitel. Lots of times what Omnitel will do to get around this is that they will bank on Dream Halls instead. They'll just cast Dream Halls and use Dream Halls to cast Enter the Infinite, or Dream Halls to cast Cunning Wish.
So Chris is brainstorming here on his main phase. He's found Entomb. He already has a Gristlebrand in hand. No way currently to get into this graveyard, although it looks like he's also drawn Careful Study off of the Brainstorm. I believe he would ideally like to get Iona going if he can, and he can do that with Force of Will backup next turn.
Yeah, he has Entomb and Reanimate.
And a Spell Pierce to defend himself next turn in case Tom tries to do anything too proactive. So a really good setup for Chris.
Yeah, we see here, choosing what to put back off the Brainstorm. Yeah, he really has all the pieces he needs. A pair of Spell Pierces, an Entomb or Reanimate, a Gristlebrand. The Gristlebrand is good defense against a Show and Tell from Tom's deck.
So a lot of defense and also a lot of offense next turn as well. Chris, a few years ago, was one of the more dominant Open Series players. He took a bit of a break from the game, but he is back, attending a lot of Opens and making a run for the Players' Championship this year.
All right, so we're back on Tom's turn. He has drawn what looks to be a Flusterstorm for the turn. A 3rd island, and passes back.
We had Brad earlier on this round, our ranked 3 player on the leaderboard. Chris is number 5. So also still within striking distance of possibly being the Season 1 invitee as well.
All right, and we're gonna have an Entomb right now from Chris Vanmeter. Now the counter war, at least if Tom wants to do it, will start. He will Flusterstorm it. That will force Chris to pay 2 more. Chris did not play a land this turn, so that should go ahead and counter the Entomb. Because Flusterstorm count has 2 copies, forcing it to pay 1, the Force of Will really won't be able to protect the Entomb.
Nor can he pierce back.
Right.
As Tom has 2 mana available.
Well, he couldn't pierce back because both copies are targeting, you would still counter the Entomb if he taps to pay for pierce. He can only pierce one of the Flusterstorm copies.
He could pay and force.
He could pay and force, right. But that's a lot of resources.
Yeah. Chris willing to let it go. He has Careful Study plus Reanimate in hand with
and
a
a monster, so it's okay.
He's not leaning on that 1 Entomb as his only path to anything.
And he's going to, as you said, careful study. If he can hit a land here, he can go off. He hits, looks like a land and an exhume.
So again, another backup piece of reanimation in case something goes awry here.
Yeah, and the best part is he still has the Force of Will going on too. Yeah, Reanimator really the faster combo deck here. It's one of the tougher matchups for Omnitels when your opponent, in the matchup of combo decks, usually the faster one gets to win.
Yeah, Reanimator definitely the combo deck that seems best suited against other combo decks. It gets to play Disruption and Thoughtseize and Force of Will, and occasionally some cards like Daze make it in the deck. It's very fast, and some of its reanimation targets soft lock or hard lock various combo decks. The cost of all this is slightly less reliable because you have a lot more moving pieces, and you're leaning on your graveyard, and a lot of people have Deathrite Shaman or good sideboard cards against you, but against other combo decks, this is where you want to be.
Yeah, so Reanimate cast on Gristlebrand, and Gristlebrand is in play. And that will make things difficult for Thomas Swindell. Remember, Chris is actually down to 7 because of all his fetch lands, Thoughtseizes, and that Reanimate, which means Tom gets a turn here. Chris can't actually activate the Gristlebrand. So if Tom can full combo here, as it were, that will do it. But as we know, Chris has a Force of Will.
So we're seeing a Cunning Wish here.
Yeah, Cunning Wish presumably would be to find Echoing Truth. And I don't think, you know, Chris can let that resolve. He'll just counter the Echoing Truth. He has to hope that Tom does not have a Pact or a Force of Will back, but I do not believe Tom does.
This is still, even in that world, this is a lot of resources from Tom as well. And it's a little easier for Chris to get set back up.
Yep, all right, Echoing Truth on Gristlebrand, Force of Will back from Tom. So Gristlebrand will go back to Chris's hand. Chris is at 6. And, you know, Tom may even be in the favorable position right now. Chris is left with just a Spell Pierce Gristlebrand. And he finds a Force of Will, passes back. We may see both decks stare at each other for a while. It looks like both Slaughter Packs are now in Tom's hand. Both Slaughter Packs and no black mana.
Chris is picking up a lot of disruption, though.
Yeah, Chris picking up some disruption. What Tom has going for him is that he can actually, if he finds a Dream Halls, it's a really powerful top deck, he can just cast it. Looks like he has found Enter the Infinite. But you're right, Vanmeter with more redundancies. We see another careful study, that Gristlebrand that's back in his hand. He's now going to be put in the yard along with Iona, so both his best targets. He has Ponder and 2 disruption spells, but no way to reanimate yet. We will see if he can find one, however.
And at this point, the literal card Reanimate is shut off for Chris, as he no longer has enough life to pay for the Reanimate cost. So he's going to have to go through Exhume, potentially try to set up a Show and Tell.
Yep, we see there they Reanimate along with Entomb and Brainstorm. I think he will probably shuffle this one away. These don't seem like cards he can use right now. He's gonna draw the Brainstorm, just use the Brainstorm as a free redraw, it looks like.
And he can set up a shuffle with Entomb as well.
Right, so he can, all right. That is, so we will see from Swindell, it's a Brainstorm. Remember, both a Flusterstorm and Force of Will plus blue card for Vanmeter, plenty of disruption. Brainstorm finds Show and Tell, Ponder, maybe even a Flusterstorm. And the fact that Chris, I'm wondering, Chris binned both his monsters. He bid the Iona and the Emrakul. It may have been, that may come back to get him if Tom can resolve this Show and Tell.
Yeah, well, there's a, you know, I can understand Chris's position of just wanting as much disruption as possible, but.
Right.
Yeah, certainly he's opened up a hole here for Tom to try to just Show and Tell him out of the game.
All right, well, Show and Tell from Tom is going to hit a Flusterstorm from Vanmeter, which may be Flusterstormed back from Tom. That's going to be countered.
Yeah.
I actually know if Tom, maybe Tom does not have the Fluster Storm. He has a Ponder, an Omniscience, an Enter the Infinite, yeah, and a Slaughter Pact. So, sorry, there's no Fluster Storm in Tom's hand.
Yeah, he was not willing to go for that on that spot.
But he finds another Show and Tell on top of his deck. The price of taking the Show and Tell is he will have to draw the second Slaughter Pact if he wants it. Besides, that's okay. That's the price he's willing to pay.
Yeah, that's 2 turns down the line where he has to face that consequence, and there might not be 2 turns.
Yeah, he's going to draw 2 bricks as his next 2 draws. Yeah. And Brainstorm from Vanmeter. Remember, all he needs is a Reanimate spell. With exception being Reanimate.
Yeah, not just any Reanimate spell. So he's going to be able to shuffle with this Entomb here. Get rid of the Reanimate he can't cast. Get rid of a Lotus Petal he doesn't need.
He'll need Exhume. It does not look like he actually plays Animate Dead. So it's just Reanimate and Exhume, so he just needs Exhume. Instead of playing the Animate Deads, he main decks 2 Show and Tells in his list.
Yeah, a lot of decks have moved to main decking a couple copies of Show and Tell. It's just a way to win game 1 around Deathrite Shaman, which is pretty tricky to do otherwise.
Thoughtseize from Vanmeter. Well, the hand here for you is Island, Slaughter Pact, Enter the Infinite, and Omniscience.
About 30 minutes to register for the standard open trial. It's $10 and you can...
Again, Vanmeter's still sitting on Force of Will and Spell Pierce, so...
He's got to feel pretty good about this. He also knows that Tom at least kept 2 other cards on top with Ponder. So I would assume the situation that none of them are excellent cards. We'll see what he takes. He's going to go ahead and take the Omniscience. So now even if Tom Swindell gets that Show and Tell in play, gets that Show and Tell in his hand, he's got more work to do. He has nothing to Show and Tell into play anymore. All right, so draw 1 out of 3 draws from Tom. That's the first one's going to be Show and Tell. That does nothing. And in case you're wondering about the Slaughter Pacts, Tom actually plays no black mana sources, so Slaughter Pact can only be used on the same turn that he intends to win the game. It's in case Chris gets Iona, Tom can have a turn where he goes Slaughter Pact, execute the combo, win.
Right. It's all about 1 turn. Iona happens to be the target in Chris's deck he's trying to fight. And other times, depending on the matchup, it's Meddling Mage or some other hate bear.
Yep, Chris is going to cast an Entomb to get a free shuffle here. Of note, Chris is down to 4 life. Not that Tom can deal damage, it's more just that that's how many fetch lands and Thoughtseizes he gets for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Although Chris is already paying a cost here in that Reanimate is no longer a card he can use.
Yep, draws another Gristlebrand. He is only 4 mana short. You know.
Does he have that much total mana in his deck?
It could have. He has 20 lands. I mean, a lot of them are... Oh, no, he put Lotus Petal in with the lands. So that counts. I don't know if you... It could happen. He has 6 actual lands.
He has 10 total mana in his deck, and he's already used some of it, so...
He could do it. He basically would have to find every land in his deck. But if he does, he can cast Gristlebrand. It would involve 2 Lotus Petals, because he only has 6 real lands. So Brainstorm from Tom.
Several copies of Omniscience and Intermethod. So a lot of combo pieces now that Tom has, but no shuffle, so he's locked into what he has.
All right. Yeah, full grip here. Tom, with a pair of the Enter the Infinites, he has Ponder, another land. Yep, we'll start with Ponder.
So he's able to pick that up off the Brainstorm, and now he can quickly shuffle away, basically assembling his own fetch land. And Tom trying to set up just a hand that can kill in 1 turn.
Yeah, he wants to Show and Tell into Omniscience, or even just cast Dream Halls. And then somehow resolve and Enter the Infinite. Remember, we have Spell Pierce and Force of Will in Vanmeter's hand. At this point, with mana, Vanmeter could hard cast a Force of Will. It would cost him his Lotus Petal, but it's an option. we do have a show and tell in Tom's hand now. I think he wants to play around Spell Pierce, but he does have all the combo pieces in his hand. But Chris has found an Exhume. And Exhume now cast with Force of Will and Spell Pierce backup. This could be bad news for Tom Swindell.
Yep. Chris has a Force of Will to fight over Slaughter Pact, and Tom's hand is not going to give him any outs besides.
Well, Tom has 2 Slaughter Pacts.
I believe I thought one of those were shuffled away a bit ago.
Okay, well, I don't know if he has 1 or 2. It depends.
Yeah.
He does have 2 in his deck.
We have seen 2 in his hand at various
Yeah,
points.
so I don't know whether after Brainstorms he kept all the Slaughter Pacts. It looks like he only kept 1. That's not going to be enough. Had he kept both, he would have a win right now, though.
Yeah.
He does get another turn if he wants it. He could maybe top deck. It is possible for him to top deck the Slaughter Pact again. Yeah, he throws it out there, see if it works. It's going to be forced, most likely. The question is if it's force pitching force or force pitching
here's the
Pierce.
odd thing. Chris has to consider, if this Force of Will and this Spell Pierce allow me to get through this turn, then I just win the game with Slaughter Pact trigger. I don't even have to worry about whether or not he finds the second Slaughter Pact. So there's this weird incentive for Chris to just say, okay.
Yeah.
The safer thing is to Force of Will, of course, but it's not clear. It's not clear that Tom can win the game in 1 turn through a Pierce and a Force of Will.
Yeah, he goes Force of Will. He's deciding what to pitch here. You either have to pitch a Spell Pierce or another Force of Will. And you're absolutely right. As long as he's going to pitch the other Force, I think he's going to Spell Pierce it. If Tom were to counter back, he would Spell Pierce it. And Tom has nothing left. He's going to go ahead and scoop. I think he's saying, hey, the other Slaughter Pact's on the bottom of my deck.
Yeah. So that's a concession from Tom there, and Chris is going to win 2 games to 0 to start 4-0. Chris has, the tournaments I've been covering, Chris has started very well in nearly all of them. I mean, we've seen 4-0s and 5-0s and 6-0s. Really haven't seen him